The release of Monster Hunter World has brought a brand new generation of players into one of Capcom's most obscure properties. This is reflected in the story, as the hunters of the Fifth Fleet migrate to the new world, joining their predecessors and seeing what lies in store. Appropriately, there have been 4 generations of Monster Hunter games before World, making this new era the 5th generation. Like anything else, the newest generation has the benefit of all the knowledge of those that came before, making Monster Hunter World the most easily accessible game in the series. It rectifies many of the franchise's most common criticisms, and introduces a wide assortment of convenient changes to its gameplay loop. Within 3 days of its release on January 26th, more than 5 million copies of the game were sold, and that number has increased to more than 6 million in the days since, making it not only the most successful Monster Hunter game by a wide margin, but also the fastest selling title in Capcom's history. This is a big deal, as it shows the massive potential for the series' growth, as well as the fact that these changes to the formula worked. But at its core, the game is the same as it's always been. Fight monsters, carve up the bodies, use the loot to make new gear, repeat. And while World has done a lot to make the gameplay more accessible and dynamic, the fundamentals of combat have not been changed. In games prior to World, every action is locked into a specific time frame. Attack, use an item, or sheath a weapon, and your only way out of it is to either complete the action or be forcibly knocked out of it, usually at the cost of taking massive damage from whatever beast you're currently hunting. This is still the status quo in Monster Hunter World. You're given more leniency by being able to dodge cancel out of attacks and drink potions while moving, but actions still have to be made carefully and deliberately if you want to win. And for 14 years this has been the norm, and many people have panned the series for having slow and unresponsive gameplay. So why has it taken so long for Monster Hunter to address one of its consumers' primary complaints? Because it was intentional design. In Monster Hunter, you are not the dominant force. You're small, you're weak, you're slow, taking on challenges and enemies that are way out of your league. The monsters you face can cover a ton of ground in seconds while you struggle to keep up. They can beat you down in an instant while your attacks are stuck in this huge windup. Many even maneuver in 3D space while most of your time is spent on a 2-dimensional plane, open and vulnerable. And just when you finally manage to take down that monster that's been holding you back for so long and carve it up to make awesome new gear, something even bigger comes up and it starts all over again. To say that the odds are stacked against you is an immense understatement. For some, it's easy to find excuses for not meshing with the style of gameplay, calling it poorly made or clunky, or saying it has too much grinding, but these issues ultimately boil down to expecting Monster Hunter to be something that it's not. The key to victory doesn't come from being a high enough level or the game's plot telling you that you're allowed to progress, or even having the strongest possible equipment. Understanding your enemy and being aware of how weak you really are allows you to overcome these monumental challenges and really become a hunter of monsters. I'll end things off with a quote from Monster Hunter World's producer Ryozo Sugimoto from an interview with Game Central. "This is a game where you need to learn the skills to play the game and put them to use. Then you'll feel this cycle of achievement as you progress and get better. You'll maybe hit a wall where you can't beat a monster, but what you can do then is strategize and look at your gear. See if you can improve your weapon and armor, go back in and beat it. And then, getting through that hurdle is going to be really satisfying. And yes, it does take patience, but that's the game. We're not going to simplify that just to make it easier to get through the game. The feeling of getting through the game, even though it was tough, is the challenge. If you want people to get better at chess, you don't sell them checkers. You let them get into the game in easier ways." Hey, thanks for watching. This video was my first time really making something like this, and it felt really good to be able to talk about something that I really enjoy. It was a ton of fun to make, and I want to make sure that I keep getting better, so be sure to let me know what you think about the things I had to say and how I presented it. Now, before you go, here's a little preview of what I have coming up next. See you then!